I want to talk about a very controversial topic, and it goes, don't ever settle. Whenever we talk about not settling, the reason why I don't like to say it like this, and I'm talking about this in a relationship sense, is it makes you sound superficial and kind of maybe a bit narcissistic. But I think there's a point where you have to move past that, and I'll explain to you why. When we talk about not ever settling, we talk about somebody that's not better than us in a sense as to where we are. So, for example, you go to the gym, you work out, you look good, you look attractive, you can pull any woman or man that you want, and you're doing quite well for yourself. You've got your money, you've got your life set out, a decent life. And then now you look at somebody else. And I think for many decent people, they look at somebody else not as an object but as a person, and so you look at somebody for who they are but not for not what sorry but not for what they can offer you. So you look at that Starbucks worker as a beautiful woman that doesn't have the corporate job or the money, but as somebody that has a fantastic personality that might not go to the gym but can hold a conversation. Or you might look at that guy as somebody that, I don't know, works in the gym as a personal trainer that isn't a multi-millionaire business owner, but can hold a decent conversation and isn't terribly looking. But then I ask you the question. Let's say, for example, you are that person. You've really worked on yourself. You've improved your mental health, your mindset. You're 5 years ahead of where you expected to see yourself because you really locked in and looked after yourself. And then somebody comes along and they show you a bit of attention and they get you a bit trapped. They don't have the mental resilience that you've developed, that you've worked so hard on to get. They don't have the body that you've worked so hard to craft and sculpture through a proper diet, through rigorous training, through cardio, through continuous day in, day out training. They don't have the social skills that you've had to force yourself to level up and learn in order to get better, I'd say, leverage in your career. You haven't done the work that you've done to get to where you are. You get into a relationship with them, they aren't as mature as you are mentally. They don't have the body that you have. They're not into the fitness stuff. They eat horribly. They don't look after themselves. They aren't the best socially. But then you look past it because you feel like you don't want to be superficial. You don't want to be rude or disrespectful. The problem that I've had whenever I've settled for any sort of relationship in my life is that I've always been treated like shit. And you might have also known that pattern as well. But then, you might say, oh, Jermaine, you attract what you are or whatever. There is some basis of truth to that. But some people are just fucking shit. And there is no denial in that complete fact, because one thing that you can't do as a human is gaslight yourself into thinking you're a shit person when you're being treated shit by another person. So whenever I've gotten into any sort of relationship with somebody that isn't at my level mentally, I've always been dragged down to the pits of despair with them. Always. You become the person or the people that you chill with the most. And if you're in a relationship with somebody, you're probably going to be chilling with them a lot more, thus becoming a lot like them. You're pushing back your progress. You're not going to the gym as much because maybe they want to, I don't know, eat a pizza instead of going out. And there are, don't be fucking stupid here. Obviously, if you're going to default, if you're going to have a relationship, you're obviously going to default on some of the things that you do some of the time. But the person that you're speaking to should be on the level with you to the point in which they wouldn't let you default. But I digress. They don't work on their mental as much. They don't read as much. They're not into the same hobbies as you. They're not doing the same things as you. As a result, you're becoming a different person. They're not on the same path as you. Once you settle, you're bringing yourself down to the level of the person that you're settling with. They end up becoming your ruler in a sense because they dictate what you can and you can't do. And I'm not necessarily talking about this in terms of looks. I'm talking about this in terms of skills, but it also goes down to looks as well. And I'm going to say something even more controversial. But whenever I've spoken to somebody that's a whole lot lower than me in terms of looks or perceived attractiveness, I've always had to deal with some sort of insecurity or narcissism. And the words that come out of the person's mouth whenever I've spoken to them is, "You're too good for me." And I hate hearing that, because that's not the mindset I come into a relationship with, being better than the person that I can control them. No, that's not the type of person that I am. But whenever you go for somebody that isn't as attractive of you, in a sense, they become a whole lot more insecure. They think that you're cheating on them. They think they're speaking to somebody else. They think that you're too good for them when that might not be your mindset. And it's something that you can't blame the person on. We're all at different stages in our lives. However, if you were on the other foot, if you were on the other shoe, you would probably feel the same. Look at yourself if you were, for example, I don't know, in a relationship with Zendaya, or if you're a girl, you were in a relationship with, I don't know, Chris Brown, or let's say somebody that's not abusive. I was about to say OJ Simpson, but that's even fucking worse. Michael B. Jordan, whatever the woman like, you would probably feel some sort of insecurity. That's not just even in terms of looks, that's monetary value. It's the same thing that translates to the situation we're talking about now. So don't ever settle, man. Look for somebody that's at the same wavelength as you or the same monetary gain or value as you, because it's a whole less problems. Yeah, less problems. And yeah.